respected dignitaries, respected orator of the day, Professor Sir Sabaratnam Arulkumaran, my colleagues in the department and outside, current and former postgraduates, invited guests. I am Murlidhar Pai. I'll be hosting today's program for you. Come July, the peak of rainy season, it's time for Mahe, Dr. A. Padma Rao PG update and oration. We have logged in to celebrate the rich legacy of math. I request our HOD, Dr. Shripad Hebbar, to give the opening remarks. Over to you, Dr. Hebbar. Spotlight on Hebbar, please.
Good evening, everybody. I do not think there is anyone in Manipal who does not know about Dr. Padma Rao, let it be doctors or patients. Well known.
Spotlight on Hebbar, please.
He's spotlighted.
Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Good evening, everybody. I do not think there is anyone in Manipal who does not know about Dr. A. Padma Rao, let it be doctors or patients. Well known for being a great teacher, she leaves behind number of students who are now all over the world scattered, who still remember her for her excellent leadership qualities and indebted to her for imparting knowledge. Madam Padma Rao taught innumerable number of both undergraduate and postgraduate students in a long-standing tenure lasting more than 30 years, serving as HOD in the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology at KMC Manipal. She was married to Professor Dr. A. Krishna Rao, who was the first dean of KMC Manipal, and he also taught physiology. Madam Padma Rao passed away on 3rd November 2011. She left behind her three daughters, Dr. Girija, Dr. Jayagauri, and Dr. Shubhagita, who are all now renowned doctors in Manipal. The entire family decided to have an oration and postgraduate update in the memory of her, collaborating with the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, KMC Manipal, by inviting great personalities in the field of obstetrics and gynecology of national and international fame. Till now, we had 9 orations, and today's 10th oration will be delivered by none other than Professor Dr. Sir Sabaratnam Arulkumaran. You all know that being an international authority, how academically busy he is, and I am happy to state that it was our previous HOD, Dr. Murlidhar V. Pai, currently serving as Dean, Sikkim Manipal Institute of Medical Sciences, was instrumental to bring him to today's event. You all know Dr. Murlidhar V. Pai, besides being an excellent, outstanding academician, he also is exceptionally good at conducting conferences, both online and offline. I always thought he should be the master of ceremony for today's event, and I am sure you all agree with me as the event progresses. With the best wishes from Dr. H.S. Ballard, Pro-Chancellor of Mahe, Dr. M.D. Venkatesh, Vice-Chancellor, Dr. P.L.G. Rao, Pro-Vice-Chancellor, and our beloved Dean, Dr. Sharat Rao. Now I hand over the further proceedings to Dr. Murlidhar V. Pai. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hebbar. And I see in the people who have logged in, our Vice Chancellor, Lieutenant General Professor M.D. Venkatesh. So I welcome you, sir, for this. Madam's positivity is still flowing, and we all now would like to pay our floral tributes to her. Now we will have invocation by Dr. Akila Vasudeva, who is a professor in Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, KMC Manipal.
Namami dhanvantarim adidevam surasurairvandita padapadmam lokai jararuk bhayamrityunasham dataramesham vividhaushadhinam tam yomavatāvanivarivahni pancha prapanchatmaka dehabhajam santapa sampata jarajvarantakam namami dhanvantarim adidevam navina neelamudakantikantam shantam haraidvadashamakhyamurtim purtim shatanam sumanorathanam namami dhanvantarim adidevam namami dhanvantarim adidevam.
Thank you, Akila. Now I request our Dean, Dr. Sharat K. Rao, to welcome the gathering.
Good evening to each and every one of you. Dr. A. Padma Rao, a renowned professor of obstetrics and gynecology, has the credit of longest serving head of the Department of OBG at KMC Manipal from 1955 to 1985. She established the OBG department at Kasturba Hospital and was instrumental in building up the department and the hospital. The department rose to a new heights under her leadership. Her name was synonymous with maternal and neonatal care. She was much loved and respected teacher and founder and visionary of maternal health services in Udupi district. She started rural maternity and child welfare homes, popularly known as RMCW homes, which are still functional even today. The Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, KMC Manipal, remembers her every year by conducting oration in her name, starting from the year 2012 by inviting academically reputed personalities who contribute to the field of OBG. The 10th Dr. A. Padma Rao Memorial PG Update and Oration will be held on 17 July 2021 and will be hosted on Zoom platform. This time, oration will be delivered by Professor Sir Dr. Sabaratnam Arulkumaran, known by entire global community of obstetrician and gynecologists. Professor Sir Arulkumaran is the past president of the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists and the International Federation of Gynecologists. Of the many accolades to his credit, the one that the professor is most proud of being honored as Knight Bachelor in the Queen's Birthday Honors list in 2009 for his services to medicine. He is a legend in the international publishing world and is a highly respectable man. He is the primary author of many academic texts that are used for postgraduate teaching. His textbook on the management of labor is a gold standard in managing the parturient women. It gives me great pleasure to invite you all to this program. A special invitation to the chief guest of today's function, our Vice Chancellor, Dr. M.D. Venkatesh. And my special welcome to the guest of honor of today's function, Pro Vice Chancellor, Dr. P.L.H. Rao. Thank you very much for the opportunity and have a great evening.
Thank you very much, sir, for warmly welcoming our guests and delegates. Now, I would like to give a brief background about Dr. Padma Rao Oration. Dr. A. Padma Rao is a towering personality. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader, said John. These words aptly describe the leader who led and inspired all of us. Yes, I'm talking about Dr. A. Padma Rao. The mere fact that we are celebrating her life today, 36 years after her retirement, speaks volumes about her. Heading a well-running department is also not easy. Imagine daring to go to an unknown place with people speaking unknown language and starting a department from scratch, that too in a newly started first private medical college of the country. Madam faced all the challenges and hardships over the next 30 years to ensure that the department met world standards. She had so many firsts to her credit. In addition to be the first HOD, she was the first to perform laparoscopic sterilization in India, first to conduct the ASCOG as well as KSOJ conferences in Manipal. She was the founder president of KSOG. She was not only a splendid gynecologist, teacher of the highest order and administrator par excellence, she was a great human being. I have imbibed many good qualities from her. She was a true leader and has produced many leaders. After Madam's passing away in 2011, her family made an endowment and our beloved Chancellor, Dr. Ramdas Empai, added a matching grant for the purpose of awarding an oration in her name to be delivered by a senior professor who would also conduct ward rounds and case discussions for our PGs. Of course, due to the situation, last year and this year, we could not have the ward rounds and case discussions, but orations are being conducted online. I would like to take you through the previous orators. The first one was delivered by Dr. P.K. Sekharan from Calicut. Then Dr. V.P. Paili from Kochi, Dr. Deepika Deka from Delhi, Dr. Suchitra Pandit from Mumbai, Dr. Serena Gilwas from Thrissur, Dr. Sridevi S.N. Tiruvalla, Dr. Krishnendu Gupta from Kolkata, Dr. M.G. Hiremat from Hubli, and last year we had online oration by one of the alumni of KMC, that is Dr. Urmila Kovilam from USA. The 10th oration is being delivered today by none other than Professor Sir Sabaratnam Arul Kumaran. Thank you, sir, for agreeing without thinking. Actually, today he had another program, but he has kept today specially for Manipal. When I approached him in February, he readily agreed for that. And thank you very much, sir, for the same. Now we will have a message from our Pro-Chancellor, Dr. H.S. Ballal.
My warm greetings to our orator of today, Professor Sabaratnam Arul Kumaran, Professor Emeritus, St. George University of London, our online guests, and all those who are participating in this Dr. A. Padma Rao Memorial Oration of 2021, which is being conducted by the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, KMC Manipal. As you all know, Kasturba Medical College, Manipal was the first self-financing medical college in the private sector, started in the year 1953 by our founder, Dr. T.M.A. Pai. Dr. A. Padma Rao and her husband, Dr. A. Krishna Rao, were the first few faculty members to join the college. They came to Manipal in the year 1954. Dr. Padma Rao was the founder and head of the department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, Kasturba Medical College, Manipal, till the year 1985. Dr. A. Krishna Rao has served as the professor of physiology and later as the dean of the medical college for the longest period of time between 1963 and 1985. KMC Manipal has started as one college with basic science in Manipal and clinical division at Mangalore, using government Wenlock and Lady Goshen hospital facilities. Dr. Padma Rao, though there was no clinical facility in Manipal, she popularized maternal care in and around Udupi by starting rural maternity and child welfare homes, popularly known as RMCW homes, in the nearby villages which are still functional. That is why maternal mortality and morbidity rates are very low in and around Manipal, comparable to the international standards. She was a great teacher and an excellent orator. She used to go to Mangalore to participate in teaching programs, both undergraduate as well as postgraduate, till the clinical division started here in Manipal in the year 1961. In addition to her academic activities, she used to involve herself in social and cultural activities. When they came to join KMC Manipal, there was no accommodation available at Manipal. Hence, they were given accommodation at Udupi and were staying opposite our house. I knew her from my school days as they were our neighbors. My mother knew her very well because both were very active members in Mahila Samaj Udupi. I am very happy and proud to say that my two children were born at Kasturba Hospital, Manipal, under the supervision of Dr. Padma Rao. Both Dr. Padma Rao and Dr. Krishna Rao were my examiners of obstetrics and gynecology and physiology respectively at Government Medical College, Mysore, where I did my MBBS. In spite of her deteriorating health, she used to participate in almost all the academics as well as cultural activities of Mahe till her death in the year 2011. I always considered her as my role model. I compliment the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology for conducting this oration every year, which started in the year 2012 in memory of Dr. A. Padma Rao for her contribution to the Department of OBG and also to the people in and around Manipal. I thank Professor Sabaratnam Arul Kumaran for making it convenient to deliver this Dr. Padma Rao Memorial Oration of this year. I am happy to see Dr. Muralidhar V. Pai for conducting this oration successfully during the last years as head of the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology and also for anchoring this program today. He has taken over as the Dean of Sikkim Manipal Institute of Medical Sciences, Sikkim, from 1st July this year. I take this opportunity to congratulate him and wish him all the best during his tenure.
Thank you, sir.
I would also like to congratulate the present head of the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, Dr. Sripad Hebbar, for continuing this practice. My greetings to all the members of Dr. A. Krishna Rao and Dr. Padma Rao. I wish this program every success. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, sir, for your wishes for the program. Now, to tell us more about Dr. A. Padma Rao, we have one of her favorite students, Dr. Ranjit Shetty, who is a proud alumnus of KMC Manipal.
Hello and good evening. I've been asked to speak about an all-time great legend, Dr. Mrs. A. Padma Rao. I feel honored to do this assignment. She was an all-time great teacher, an extraordinary doctor, and a super human being. There won't be any sugary English from my part because it all comes right from here. As a teacher, when I speak about her, I can tell you she was mother of all teachers. Dedicated to the core for teaching, she was dedicated to the core. She literally grilled obstetrics and gynecology into our heads, groomed us, and I can tell you, we owe it to her for what we have become in our profession, how far we have grown. 90% of it, we owe it to her. She simplified the subject so well, we could understand almost everything that she was trying to say. We could understand it very well. Bedside teaching was there, and every single day there used to be a postgraduate teaching program in the afternoons. And it was a pleasure to see her coming to the afternoon coaching classes, very well dressed up, in a very good mood, hair nicely combed with the flowers. As a doctor, she had a very, very practical approach towards treating patients. And she was so bold, and she oozed confidence. Because of that, even her patients developed confidence in her, because seeing the confidence in her, they also were becoming confident. They simply adored her. She was a very bold surgeon. I have never seen a bolder surgeon than her. And her ability to convince the patient, this was something extraordinary. Once I have seen an incident where one person was hesitating to donate his kidney, and he came to her for something, and she told him, see, God has given you 2 kidneys because sometime in the future in your life, you can donate 1 kidney to another deserving person and save a life. And you will gain punya and will go straight to heaven, she told. And believe it or not, he did donate his kidney, it seems. Then another thing I remember she told us was, whenever you start practicing, the first operation you should do is an ovarian cyst, preferably a big one, because that's the one which impresses the patient's relatives most, and for a doctor it is the simplest possible operation. She used to say, you have to put it in a basin and take it out and show it to the relatives. You will become a huge success, she told. And these are all some practical things she used to say. Now I want to tell a little more about, as a human being, how good she was. She was very supportive of her students. And she used to be very nice to the doctors who used to refer the cases to her. She always had a good word towards them when she spoke to the patients. Once we had gone to the conference in Orissa, National OBG Conference, and I remember some of us PG students had gone along with her, and she looked after us like her children, I tell you. She used to run from one end of the restaurant to the other, just seeing to that we were fed properly. Did you have the rasgulla? Did you taste the puri bhaji? All these things she used to ask. They were very personal things. Those are the things which I won't be able to forget. Once one PG student was asked to speak a subject on disseminated intravascular coagulation, DIC, quite a difficult subject. And he came down from the stage as soon as he finished his talk. She was quite impressed with the talk, and the next day she told was, why did you come down from the stage so fast, doctor? You should have stayed for some more time, wait for the applause to die down, she told. I'm sure that postgraduate student wouldn't have forgotten this incident in his life. Yet another time, there was a case of breech delivery in Kadakar Center. We used to go to deliver cases there. One lady gynecologist was sent there to deliver, and she delivered a primey with breech, 3.4 kgs. There also next day she told, my God, you are the obstetrician of the day. All the PGs should give a clap to her. She has delivered a primey with breech in a center weighing 3.4 kgs. Commendable job, she told. And this also, I'm sure, those postgraduates who have got this support from her, compliments from her, would have never forgotten this incident till today. Why, in my own case, once I finished my post-graduation, I had started my practice in Kundapura. And She had come to Kundapur quite a number of times to give lectures in IMA or Rotary meetings. And in every meeting she has told, Ranjit was one of my best students. This is one compliment. This is the highest compliment that I have received in my life. And even when some Kundapur patient went to her for examination, by that time she had started her private practice. She had told with one patient, why do you want to come all the way to Manipal? There is one Dr. Ranjit in Kundapur. You go to him, he is as good as me, she had told. How many doctors will tell this? These are some of the things which will be forever, they are etched in my memory. I really feel honored because there are thousands of students of Madam Padma Rao all over the world. I am a small doctor in a small place called Kundapura, and I am given this opportunity to speak. I should thank Dr. Girija, my friend, for giving this chance to me. Om Gurubhyo Namaha. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for taking us through that era. Now, I request Madam Padma Rao's grandson, Mr. Sushil Hadigal, to tell us about how he saw his grandmother. Over to you, Sushil.
Thank you, Dr. Murali.
Do you have some slides?
Yes, I do. I'm just sharing it. Give me one second. Yes. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. First and foremost, I would like to thank Mahe University and the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, Dr. Sripath Hebbara and his team for conducting this oration and giving me this opportunity to speak today. A very warm welcome to the chief guest of the evening, Dr. M.D. Venkatesh, and a warm welcome to the speaker of the evening, Sir Dr. Sabaratnam Arul Kumaran, and ladies and gentlemen. When my aunt asked me to speak about my granny, I wondered how I could put into words and even speak about someone who I adored so much and meant so much to me. But the past few weeks have helped me reflect about all the wonderful things that Granny has done for me. So this presentation is a small view into my world about Granny, the impact that she has had on my life, and the lessons that I've learned from her. Short introduction about myself quickly. I'm the grandson of Dr. Krishna Rao and Dr. Padma Rao, eldest son of Dr. Gauri, and considering I willingly accepted to do this presentation on the behalf of the family, I'm now the favorite nephew of Dr. Girija and Dr. Geeta for the next 6 months. I'm an electrical and electronics engineer, so yes, I'm the odd one out in the family, did not pursue medicine. I'm also one of Granny's conference travel companions. We grandchildren were extremely lucky to tag along with her for numerous conferences and orations across India, and we learned so much from it. This particular picture was taken in December 1995 in Nainital. So I definitely miss those travel experiences with my grandmother, but more importantly, I miss that hair of mine. Granny she never hesitated to go out of her comfort zone to learn something. So when her granddaughter got married and her husband was from Delhi, she decided to learn Hindi. So she got a Hindi instructor, bundled her daughters into the same class and learned Hindi. She was an extremely linguistic person. She had mastered all the South Indian languages, but Hindi was definitely a challenge, but she managed it with her broken Hindi. Her two favorite words in the Hindi language were magarmach and dakarna. Magarmach means crocodile, and dakarna is to birth. Although these two words didn't help us very much when we went on a conference to Kanpur and Lucknow a few years later, but we managed it with our broken Hindi. With all her grandchildren being away from home, either due to work or in college, she always made it a point to keep in touch with us every single day with emails. First, it was usually SMSs and then it progressed into emails. And mind you, she wrote these emails herself. And it described in detail about her daily activities, from what she made for breakfast to what gossip she spoke with her husband, Dr. Krishna Rao, and always ended with some words of wisdom to her grandchildren. I still read these emails today, and I'll treasure them forever. Get up, dress up, show up, and never give up. As Dr. Ranjit mentioned, Granny was always known for impeccable dressing. She always wore wonderful saris and always had the golden mallige at the back of her head and finishing off the look with a lovely mallige flower. And she always told me that you will have problems in your life, but the most important thing is to address them. Get up and show up and try to address them, because that's half the battle won. And eventually you'll figure it out, the problem, and that's the other half that you don't have to worry about. But most important, get up and show up. Granny was highly diabetic, and I've been told many a time that she became hypoglycemic during many operations, and she had to complete them in that particular state. But that was primarily due to her sheer grit, determination, and strong will. And she was an extremely strong woman, and she has taught me especially how to face challenges in life. And part of the Granny Gyan series that I intend to give you today is that she said, Kanna is a loving way of addressing her grandchildren. She said, difficult roads often lead to beautiful destinations. For Granny, family was everything. She showered us with all the love throughout her life, be it her children, grandchildren, or great-grandchildren. And she and Tata have always been our pillar of support during the hard times. For me, when I was in Granny's house, no morning was my morning didn't get started or get complete without Granny performing her puja in the God's room with the bell in the left hand or arati in the right, saying a small mantra and thanking God for everything that she had. She always told us to be grateful and always count our blessings. She was a maths wizard. Not sure many of you know, but I needed the maths wizard help when I was in the 2nd grade. So she decided to give me tuitions. We had these tuitions at 6 a.m. in the morning, me grudgingly getting out of bed, heading to the study table with Granny promptly waiting for me there. But she had the unique ability of combining mathematics with something that I as a 7-year-old love. That's cars and cartoons. She also rewarded me with keychains every single time I did a problem right or did well in an exam. So eventually I had a lovely keychain collection, which I intend to hand to my son in the next few years. And she always mentioned that maths doesn't teach you how to add or subtract. It tells you that every problem has a solution. And the same thing in life as well. Granny always lived life to the fullest. And the one thing that she has taught me was you have to involve yourself 100% in anything that you do and be joyous about it. So be it giving a dance in the Manipal Maila Samaj to a Tulu local song, or being part of a laughter club. Granny, at the age of 80, joined a laughter club, and she went there every day at 7 a.m. in the morning. And it's quite hilarious seeing your grandmother come back energized after a laughter club and perform the machine gun laughter to you. So for those of you who do not know what a machine gun laughter is, it's basically taken in a deep breath, mimicking the sound of the machine gun, and then bursting out into a loud booming laughter. So it was lovely. And she always said, laughter is always good for the soul. I'd like to end this presentation with a note to my grandparents. And this poem totally symbolizes everything that they mean to me. A cuddle, a smile, a listening ear, a kiss, a squeeze, and always sincere. A laughter, a shoulder, a clever doctor, a trip taker, a story reciter, an endless spoiler, a trusted advisor, a nurturer, a sharer, a loving carer, a mentor, an anchor, a forever friend too. We will always remember we were loved through and through. Love you forever, Granny and Tata. Thank you again very much for the opportunity, and I wish you a lovely evening and a great oration. Thank you.
Thank you, Sushil. Yeah, actually, you have really told us how Madam was very caring and she was appreciating everyone. I have to tell this story every year. One day, suddenly, she came in the evening to our house with a gift and a card. The lovely card to my daughter Meghna, who was just 5-year-old at that time. I was surprised why this gift and card. It was not her birthday. She said, I wanted to appreciate that this 5-year-old girl, when I called at 4 o'clock in the evening, she told daddy's in the office, I will give you his number and I will ask him to call you at 5 o'clock in the evening. She liked that gesture very much and she wanted to appreciate. So I have learned this very great quality. When you appreciate people, they will definitely come up as better citizens. Thank you very much, Sushil, one more time.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you.
So now I request our HOD Dr. Sripad Hebbar to introduce our chief guest of the function.
Lieutenant General Dr. M.D. Venkatesh is the 7th Vice Chancellor of Mahe, Manipal. He graduated from Mysore Medical College in 1978 with an exceptional academic record and was commissioned in Armed Medical Corps in 1979. He acquired his MS ENT from Mumbai University in 1986 and is an outstanding ENT surgeon. He has undergone training in cochlear implantation and neurotology in India and overseas. He has contributed significantly in the field of medical education, having trained generations of undergraduate and postgraduate students in the Armed Forces Medical College, Pune, and also having had the unique distinction of holding over the years all the academic positions of AFMC from reader to dean. He was also a founder faculty of the Department of Medical Education Technology at AFMC. Dr. Venkatesh joined as the Vice Chancellor of Sikkim Manipal University on July 2017 and completed his 3-year term successfully. During his tenure, he has contributed immensely to the development and improvements in infrastructure, academic processes, and IT infrastructure of SMU. He was able to bring research and publication sharply into focus, and SMU saw a remarkable upswing in the number of projects and publications. He has revamped all the academic, human resources, IT, and financial policies of SMU for improved productivity outcomes. After joining Manipal Academy of Higher Education in July 2020, here too in Manipal, he has displayed inspiring leadership qualities and team building skills and has made a Team Mahe a confident, cohesive, and result oriented institution. I am sure under his leadership, Manipal will continue and maintain the recognition as a leading private university in the country and abroad. Ladies and gentlemen, here I present to you Dr. M.D. Venkatesh to give his message to Dr. A. Padma Rao Memorial Endowment Oration. Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Hebbar, I would vouch for whatever you said. I am seeing what he has done in
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Warm greetings from Manipal Academy of Higher Education, institution of eminence deemed to be university. Professor Dr. P.L.N.G. Rao, Orator of the Day, Dr. Arul Kumaran, and family members of Dr. A. Padma Rao. At the outset, let me thank Dr. Sripad Hebbar, Head of the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, and his department for inviting me to be part of this very unique program. I also convey my congratulations to Professor Muralidhar Pai, presently Dean of Sikkim Manipal University, for planning this event right from February 2021, who then was Professor Head of the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, and bringing the world-class orator, Professor Sir Sabaratnam Arul Kumaran, to this online forum. I extend my warm regards and greetings to the family of Dr. Padma Rao. I am extremely thankful to them for conceptualizing this oration as part of continued medical education in the field of obstetrics and gynecology. Manipal Academy of Higher Education, at this juncture, truly and aptly places on record the wonderful work done by Dr. A. Padma Rao for the entire community of obstetrics and gynecology in the country. And Mahe places its sincere gratitude to Dr. Padma Rao for her role in institution building. I think she truly deserves this oration to be instituted in her memory, and I am sure over the years we will have world-class orators who have achieved a lot in the field of obstetrics and gynecology, like today's orator, who is known to the entire fraternity of obstetricians and gynecologists universally. Professor Sir Arul Kumaran is the past president of Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists and the International Federation of Gynecologists. Of the many accolades to his credit, the one that Professor is most proud of being honored as a Knight Bachelor in the Queen's Birthday Honours List in 2009 for his services to medicine. He is a legend in the international publishing world and is highly respectable professional. He is the primary author of many academic texts that are used for postgraduate teaching, and his textbook on management of labor is a gold standard in managing parturient women. A man of great stature, Professor Arul Kumaran exudes only grace and humility. He always advises the medical graduates on the three keys to success: love for your patients, love for teachers, and doing one good deed a day. I'm sure not only the gathered students, but even the faculty will be deeply inspired by a stimulating session of postgraduate teaching and trigger an active audience interaction. At the end, I would like to thank the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology for inviting me to this oration, and I wish them all the very best in their continued pursuit of academic and research excellence and in delivering the highest quality of healthcare. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring words. Now, I request Dr. Shamala to introduce our guest of honor.
Good evening to you all. Dr. PLNG Rao, Pro Vice Chancellor, Quality Assurance and Faculty of Health Sciences, Manipal Academy of Higher Education, Manipal, hails from Andhra Pradesh. He did his MBBS from Kurnool Medical College, Kurnool, Andhra Pradesh. Then he did MS General Surgery and MCH in Pediatric Surgery from the prestigious PGI Chandigarh. A pediatric surgeon of repute, Dr. Rao started his professional career as Assistant Professor in the Department of Pediatric Surgery, KMC Manipal, in 1979. He became the head of the Department of Pediatric Surgery and Associate Dean of Kasturba Medical College, Manipal. Endowed with a good knowledge of academic requirements and administrative norms, he was appointed as the first registrar of Mahe in the year 1993. Later on, he served as the first dean of Melaka Manipal Medical College, Melaka, Malaysia, and also as the head compliance and campus developments at Manipal Universal Learning. He also served as the Director, Quality and Compliance of Mahe Manipal, and later he served under the capacity of Vice Chancellor, Manipal International University, Malaysia. Dr. Rao is a fellow of several professional bodies like Association of Surgeons of India, Indian Association of Pediatric Surgeons, Indian Society of Gastroenterology, Asian Association of Pediatric Surgeons, and so on. I welcome Dr. Potti Lakshmi Narayana Gangadhar Rao on behalf of the organizing committee. Thank you.
Good evening to one and all. Professor Sabaratnam Arul Kumaran, Professor Emeritus, University of London, the distinguished speaker of the day, who will be delivering his oration from London. Chief guest of the evening, Lieutenant General Dr. M.D. Venkatesh, the Vice Chancellor of Mahe. Dr. Muralidhar Pai, Dean, Sikkim Manipal Institute of Medical Sciences. Dr. Sripad Hebar, Head of the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, KMC. Staff members of the department, family members of Dr. Padma Rao, and online participants. Warm greetings to you all. It's a great pleasure for me to be associated with this oration. I would like to compliment the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, KMC, for organizing this oration in memory of Dr. Padma Rao. Madam Padma Rao was an excellent teacher, able administrator, and a committed clinician. Above all, she was a great human being. Time would be too short to discuss or describe her achievements. It would not be out of context to share my own experience with Dr. Padma Rao on the day I came to Manipal to join KMC way back in August 1979. Since the then Dean of KMC and Medical Superintendent of KH were on leave on that day, I was directed to go and meet Dr. Padma Rao, who was the acting Dean as well as acting Medical Superintendent on that day. My interaction with Madam was a memorable one which I cannot forget even today. The interaction was pleasant, comfortable, and encouraging in nature. Dr. Padma Rao contributed immensely to the development of Kasturba Medical College and especially the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology. I will not go into the details of her achievements, but I must mention one thing. The maternity and rural centers established and nurtured by her probably resulted in Manipal Udupi area in having the lowest maternal and infant mortality rates in the country and are comparable to any other place in the world. Professor Arul Kumaran enjoys a high professional reputation in the world of scientific and medical community. He contributed immensely to the field of obstetrics and gynecology. He is a member of many professional associations, including the American Congress of Obstetrics and Gynecologists, the Federation of Obstetrics and Gynecology Societies of India, the Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists in Australia and New Zealand, Societies of Obstetricians and Gynecologists in Pakistan, South Africa, Sri Lanka, Germany, Malaysia and Canada, etc. It gives me a great pleasure to present a certificate and a memento to Professor Arul Kumaran, who has achieved a lot in his career and has agreed to be a part of this oration. Before I conclude, I would like to congratulate Dr. Muralidhar Pai, the Dean Sikkim Manipal University. He has been organizing meticulously this annual event of the Department of OBG at Manipal for the last few years. I am confident that all the participants would be greatly benefited by today's oration. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words. Dr. Pratap Kumar is the second longest serving head of the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology after Dr. A. Padma Rao. Currently, he is heading a new department which has carved out from the Department of OBG, that is Department of Reproductive Medicine and Surgery. He has been my teacher, he has been my guide, my mentor, and he's a great friend of Sir Arul Kumaran. Professor Pratap Kumar brought Arul Kumaran for the first time to Manipal 25 years ago, and thereafter he again and again called him. At least he has visited Manipal 3 times, thanks to Dr. Pratap Kumar. So now I request Professor Pratap Kumar to introduce our orator of the day.
A very good evening to all of you. It's my pleasure to introduce Professor Sir Sabaratnam Arul Kumaran, a Professor Emeritus of St. George University, London, Professor and Head of Obstetrics and Gynecology from 2001 to 2013, St. George University of London, Foundation Professor of ONG, St. George Medical School, University of Nicosia from 2014, Visiting Professor, Institute of Global Health Policy Innovation, Imperial College, London from 2012. He has had a prestigious presidency of several I think colleges like Royal College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, International Federation of Obstetrics and Gynecology called as FIGO, British Medical Association. Born in Sri Lanka in 1948, went to Singapore in 1982 and to UK in 1997. Earlier to becoming the president of the prestigious organization, he was the treasurer of the International Federation called as FIGO from 1997 to 2003, Secretary General of FIGO from 2003 to 6, and the Vice President of the Royal College of Obstetrics and Gynecology later. You can see by this list of societies how many countries have called him and given him the fellowship, honorary fellowship from America and India, UK, Pakistan, Dutch Society, Malaysia, Canada, and many more like Athens and so on. Everybody has read his books. It's a pleasure to read his books. Editor-in-Chief of Best Practices in Research, Clinical Obstetrics and Gynecology since 1998. He's written or edited 24 books, 240 articles, and more than 150 book chapters. I think all of us have read this, all the literature as you see there. Several books, and I'm very happy to be associated with him for some of these books also. He was appointed by the Queen as to the Knight Bachelor in June 2009 for his services to medicine by Her Majesty the Queen of England. So I'm very happy to also mention, like Muralidhar Pai mentioned just now, 96 we had the Indian Academy of Human Reproduction. Dr. Rajan was the president at that time. I had invited him to give the oration, and you can see Mrs. Pai, Dr. Padma Rao, along with all of us to the wonderful conference, and we had a very large number from all over the country. All of us respect you, sir. You are very highly respected. I present to you the star, Professor Sabaratnam Arulkumaran.
Sir, I request you to read this citation on behalf of the department.
Yes, it's my pleasure to read this citation to Sir Dr. Sabaratnam Arulkumaran. We, the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, Kasturba Medical College, Manipal, India, gratefully acknowledge and appreciate your presence and involvement by rendering the oration on the 10th Professor Dr. A. Padma Rao Memorial Postgraduate Update held on the 17th of July 2021 at Manipal, India. As an honorary professor of obstetrics and gynecology at the University of Nicosia and honorary professor at St. George University in London, a visiting professor at the World Health Institute, Imperial College, London, you have greatly enhanced the understanding of the physiology and management of labor. Being a professor emeritus, St. George University of London, former president of the Royal College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, ex-presidential president of International Federation of Obstetrics and Gynecology like FIGO, past president of the British Medical Association, we understand that global obstetric community has greatly been influenced by your work on pre-labor rupture of membranes, induction of labor, and prevention of postpartum hemorrhage, and many other subpart of the subject. Sir, you remain a model for all our youngsters and all of us to follow and aspire excellence in their respective specialty. We congratulate you and thank you for your participation. Signed by Dr. Shripad Hebar, the Professor and Head of Obstetrics and Gynecology, KMC Manipal, and Dr. Sharat Kumar Rao, the Dean of Kasturba Medical College, Manipal. I also would like to read the certification of appreciation awarded to Professor Sir Dr. Arulkumaran, Professor Emeritus, St. George University, London, former President of RCOG, London, for delivering the 10th Mahe, Dr. A. Padma Rao Memorial Postgraduate Update and Oration held on the 17th of July, 2021, signed by Dr. Shripad Hebar, the current HOD of Obstetrics and Gynecology, and Dr. Sharat Kumar. And I'm very happy to show the audience the plaque, what we have done. And it has been a tradition to give the plaque with silver, and a silver plaque. And I'm sure we'll somehow send it to you, sir, to UK. And I'm sure this will be a great achievement for us to even transport it from India to UK. But we are very happy that you are here with us today, sir. And once again, welcoming you.
Hopefully, UK opening up for Indians. I would like to visit my daughter, and that time I will bring it and hand it over to you, sir.
That'll be great. Yeah, thank you.
So, may I request you, sir, now to give your response to this honor.
Thank you very much, Professor Muralidhar Pai. Thank you for initiating this event. First of all, inviting me to give this prestigious oration. So first, I would like to thank Professor Padma Rao's family for having me as the orator for this year. And Pratap Kumar, who has been my great friend for a few decades now, for that wonderful introduction of myself. Pratap and I go many, many decades. We published books together. In fact, when I was head of department at Singapore, he wanted to send an embryologist to be trained, and we didn't have a place, so they declined. So I intervened and got the embryologist down from Manipal, and then they started the division. So I'm happy I contributed somewhat to the beginning of IVF in Manipal. And to Murali, he has been a great, great friend of mine again, and he came and gave some lectures at St. George's. He gave one lecture, they wanted him to give another lecture, so that gives the caliber of him. But I had close association with a number of members of the Manipal society, like Shanta Kumari, Krishnanand Gupta, Lavanya Rai, and so on. So I won't be able to mention all the names because that'll take up my time for the lecture. So I'm happy to be here. I was happy physically to be there for a few occasions, and it's a wonderful thing. A little bit about Professor Padma Rao. Padma Rao, I met Professor Padma Rao when I came to Manipal, but I met her in a few conferences, all India conferences. And I remember sitting in the audience and listening to her on autoimmune disease in pregnancy. And her lecture was crystal clear. And I went and congratulated her and asked for a couple of clarifications. And he was, with a smile, gave me all the answers. And when Murali asked me to select a topic, I selected contraception because she had some interest in contraception. And I thought it might fit the bill to give a talk on contraception. So I think I owe a lot, but I would like to thank Professor Sharat Rao, Dean, Pro-Chancellor, Dr. H.S. Balal, the chief guest, Professor Venkatesh, and also the Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor P.L.N. Rao, for kindly mentioning my name and inviting me for this oration, as well as to Shripad Heba, who has been communicating with me when Murali left to Sikkim. He has been in touch with me a number of times. So I'm most grateful to you. So I heard a lot about Professor Padma Rao. I hope I won't disappoint you in giving my oration today, but I'll do my best, and my best wishes to the family for remembering her, because the greatest tribute of any family is to remember the people who have looked after them so well. So you have a big family, not only your immediate family, but you have a family from Manipal. You have a Manipal family and the Padma Rao family. So I wish you all the very best. Thank you.
Sir, you are actually now a member of Manipal family, if I can say that.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
So thank you very much, sir, for agreeing. And we will just conclude this formal function. After that, we would have the oration. So for the conclusion of the formal function, I would now request Dr. Jyoti Shetty to propose the vote of thanks.
Good evening to all. It gives me immense pleasure to propose the vote of thanks on behalf of Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, KMC Manipal. First and foremost, we thank our Chancellor, Dr. Ramdas Senpai, for being constantly supportive of our academic activities. We thank Dr. H.S. Balal, our Pro-Chancellor, who has always supported us. We are thankful to him for being a part of this program with the encouraging video message. Our heartfelt thanks to Lieutenant General Dr. M.D. Venkatesh, Vice Chancellor, Mahe, for gracing the occasion as chief guest. Sir, your words of wisdom are very precious to us. We sincerely thank Dr. P.L.N.G. Rao, Pro-Vice Chancellor, Health Sciences, for gracing the occasion as guest of honor. We thank Dr. Sharat Rao, Dean, KMC Manipal, for his guidance and support to conduct this program. We would like to express our sincere thanks to Sir Professor Sabaratnam Arul Kumaran for accepting our invitation to deliver Dr. A. Padma Rao Endowment Oration today. Sir, prominent academician like Sharing your knowledge and experience is truly valuable for the young gynecologists. Thank you very much. Our heartfelt thanks to Dr. Ranjit Shetty and Mr. Sushil Hadgil for sharing their valuable memories and experiences with Dr. A. Padma Rao. Sincere thanks to all who attended this web event with active participation, including postgraduates and faculty of Manipal and Mangalore, OB-GYN specialists from Udupi and other places. Thank you one and all. Stay logged in for Oration.
I would like to specially thank Mr. Amit Arvind Nayak, who has been the tech support for all my orations. If you like the orations that I present, it is thanks to Amit Arvind. We started this together last year when he beautifully hosted the orators from USA and Canada, and subsequently he hosted Dr. Sabaratnam Arul Kumaran's oration, Krishnendu Gupta oration, and this is the third time Amit Arvind is joining me in hosting this Arvind. Thank you very much, Amit.
Thank you.
So now I request our orator, Professor Sir Sabaratnam Arul Kumaran, to share his PPT and deliver the oration. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Murali. So I have selected the topic of world will sink without contraception. And as I speak, yesterday, day before, 3 countries have experienced severe floods. Germany, Belgium, Netherlands, they all experienced severe floods and many people have perished. And this is a first-time story for some of these countries, but it's a common story for countries like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, because of the climate change due to extra number of people in the planet. So that is what I'm going to talk about. So my objective will be the SDGs, which were formulated, the Sustainable Development Goals formulated for the global population to survive, thrive, and prosper by the United Nations. And the subtext of that is, please do not leave anyone behind. So make everybody survive, thrive, and prosper. So to tackle that problem, I'm going to talk on a few objectives. What is the SDGs and its relevance to the population number? Secondly, the population increase due to increased life expectancy. So people are living longer, so the population is expanding. Thirdly, population increase due to lack of contraception. And fourthly, global picture and the Indian perspective as relation to contraception and as well as SDGs. And finally, a plea for affirmative action to achieve SDGs so that the world can survive, thrive, and prosper. And the responsibility partly belongs to all of us who are listening to this talk as obstetricians and gynecologists. So the policy for the world population to survive, thrive, and prosper was defined by world leaders in 2015 as the Sustainable Development Goals. The heads of governments undertook the responsibility to achieve these goals in their own countries and the region by 2030. Increase in population will increase deforestation and warmer climates and flooding, environmental disaster, and as seen with coronavirus, zoonotic infection, and not only that, flooding, but there will be fire and famine because of increasing population. So the ONG professionals, public health professionals, and the government has to play a role in giving sensible and proportionate contraception so that we can avoid population explosion as we might experience in the next 2 to 3 decades to come. So this is a picture of the United Nations where the plans for 17 Sustainable Development Goals was made. And can we achieve this world in a world without contraception? If not, we may sink because of the difficulties in getting all these goals. So number 1 is no poverty. So the more people on the planet, you need more food, more employment, etc. So you have increasing poverty, hunger. There'll be quite a lot of them are going hungry. Like you can see the pictures from Sudan, some parts of Palestine, etc. Especially if it is conflict zone, it becomes a problem. Good health and well-being, the NCDs are going up, non-communicable diseases because of smoke, pollution, etc. And you can have a typical example of Delhi and so on. Quality education, with 27 million children born in the UK, in India every year, you have to build proportionate number of schools. Can we achieve this? Gender equality, clean water and sanitation. We don't have all that. And affordable and clean energy, because we are burning fossil fuels, which is generating pollution, decent work and economic growth. And it goes on, including that we must take climate action in order to sustain life below water and life above land. So these are challenges we face to achieve that. So let us look at the equation. On the top, we want to achieve this for how many people? So the goals are laudable, but cannot be achieved or sustained without limiting the increasing population. To survive, thrive, and prosper, the denominator, the population should stay stable or should be marginal increase. And the main components of population change are births, deaths, and migration. So the more people are born, the population increase. The less people die, there'll be a population increase, and also migration. But natural increase is defined as the difference between live births and deaths. And net migration can vary quite a lot, either as refugees or officially. It'll vary, and United States absorbs quite a number of migrants, which is so different from some other countries. So population explosion is a rapid increase in population caused by failure of contraception and sudden good health and decline in infant mortality. And thirdly, due to increase in life expectancy, because people are living longer, so more people are living because of the good health care people get. And as a result, population aging will increase. Over 65 years was 9% in 2018, and it will become 16% in 2050, and more would be over 85 years. So this is in a graphical form. As you could see, if you look at the horizontal scale, by 2020, we are topping 7.8 billion. So you have two trajectories. If you don't have population contraception, we might hit 15.6 billion by 2100. And if it is declines, then we might hit 7.3 billion. So that can be sustainable. So we had to bring it down a little bit and make it stable so that people can live. And the main contributions are from China, India, USA, Indonesia, Pakistan, Brazil, Nigeria. And Nigeria, for example, the population is doubling and trebling and quadrupling within a short time. So population explosion is real and will need increase of food, water, energy consumption, and that will lead to difficulty in producing clean water and also will lead to climate change problem. This is a projection of India. As you can see, by 2023, we are projecting 1.4 billion by the India government on the IMF sources. So India, although the fertility rate has come down because the total population numbers are big, there's going to be still an increase in numbers. If you look at the population pyramid, whether there are enough people to work and sustain the planet, the 2021 figures is given on the left extreme of your screen. As you could see, at a younger age, there is more population. As we grow older and older, there'll be a smaller population for males and females. That is in 2021. But if you look at the 2010 figure and divide that into developed and developing countries, developed countries have a uniform structure, and developing countries have more children at a younger age and less people at the top. And the life expectancy, as you could see in the developed, is 74 for males and 81 for females. And in developing countries, it is again 63, and it is much higher for a female. So increasing life expectancy is one of the highest achievements of humankind. So we have done our best, the health personnel, to reduce and expand the life expectancy. However, aging and age-related diseases mounting a challenge like dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, cancer, everything is increasing, which increases a family and social burden to the healthcare systems. And as you could see the age structure, the younger age group is the vast majority, under 45. So they're going to keep on producing. So the population is likely to increase unless we provide contraception. This is a 2018 World Population Data Sheet, which says if you take the whole world, the fertility rate is 2.4. So we might just sustain it. Unfortunately, some countries like Niger has a total fertility rate of 7.2 compared to South Korea, it is 1.1. And there's a shift on the world's population to older population structure called population aging. And it projects that 16% of the world population will be higher age group, and over 85 will also growing faster. Whereas the share of children under 15 has been falling and will continue to fall with good contraception. So there should be thinking by each country about national policy for contraception. This is in a nutshell. In 2010, we have 551 million over 65. In 2050, it'll be 2 billion. So who is going to look after them? And if you look at 80 years and more, there are 69 million at 2010 and 379 million in 2050. So older age is going to be a problem globally. And this has been made possible by fantastic research in medicine. Edward Jenner, who is from St. George's, invented the smallpox. As you could see, Semmelweis introduced hand washing because he found more maternal deaths in the ward where the mothers were delivered by medical students because they were going from the dissection room and delivering, whereas the midwives, when they delivered, maternal mortality due to sepsis was low. So he introduced hand washing with chlorinated water. And it goes on. Louis Pasteur in pasteurization, Hillman developed the vaccines for measles, mumps, and hepatitis. Fleming produced the insulin, and so on and so forth. So the vaccines and antibiotics and immunization process help to bring down the death rate. Because if you look at the population, in 1800, the people are dying at the age of 30. 1900, it's 45, because people are dying at an early age due to communicable diseases, typhoid, diarrhea, cholera. Then once we introduce clean water, sanitation, nutrition, that type of diseases stopped dropping and life expectancy increased. Then with the antibiotics and vaccination, we saved a lot of lives, and the people due to infectious diseases went down, and now people are living up to 75. But the difficulty is actually once they reach about 70, 75, whether they are going to have disability due to dementia, arthritis, cancer, and so on. And at the end of the spectrum for 3 or 4 years, they will have frailty, they can't even move, so they need some assistance. And non-communicable diseases is taking the toll at the moment. And this is if you look at early life intervention, adult life intervention, and older age. So if you go to a developing country, sub-Saharan Africa, this is not, many of them will die by 71. But if they continue to live, for 6 years, they will have disability, and 3 years, they might live in frailty. So if you're going to live till 81 on an average, then you have to have 6 years of chronic illness like dementia, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and 3 years you won't be able to move from the bed. So you have to have prevention strategies like physical inactivity, smoking, and so on. So this is going to be a problem which will rob us developing the SDG goals, because these people will need more sustenance. If you look at a table of life expectancy of male versus female, females live roughly about 6 years more in any country, Austria, Germany, USA. You can see the brackets indicate how many years more they can live compared to a male. Then if you look at the healthy life expectancy, a male will have 77 years of life, 7 years in Austria, they will have disability. Whereas a female will live few years more, but she will have more years of disability. So the longer the woman lives, then she has a greater chance of disability, including osteoporosis and fractures. This is not because they are female and because of the environmental condition, but genetically, the female telomere is much longer. So they stand repeated regeneration. So they are able to act and replace their cells. And that is by Elizabeth Blackburn, who produced this paper, who got the Nobel Prize because of this. So women are likely to live longer, and we have to give them whatever we can. And this is for India, taking a snapshot in 2017. As you could see, their population over 60 plus seems to keep on increasing, and this will go on increasing as predicted. And this is not only in total of India, but if you take every state, Orissa, West Bengal, Bihar, you can see men living a little bit shorter life period compared to women, and the life expectancy is going higher and higher, as you could see with time. Now, the population explosion, there's a rapid increase due to decline in infant mortality, increase in life expectancy, and lack of contraception. So there are three elements which goes in to really put these things together. And population explosion leads to environmental degradation, and population explosion causes overexploitation of natural resources and shortage of resources for the future generation. So the rapid increase of human population is putting an incredible stress on our environment, and the demands that this growth places on our environment are threatening the future sustainable life on Earth. And one of the largest environment effects of human population is global warming. And as you could see, the population expansion in some of the countries, in some of the districts can be quite vast, and that can give rise to global warming and flooding, and also environmental pollution like Delhi, countries like Singapore are feeling that threatening, and major cities in main cities in the world run this problem quite a lot. And air pollution is from an automobile exhaust, and that accounts sizable part of pollution, and that people are trying to convert into electric cars now. And that in India, they are expected to have 51 metro cities by 2021. And the problem with that is, as the increase in air pollution, as you increase the air pollution, the deaths from various causes like congestive heart failure, the septicemia, urinary tract infection, all these tends to increase, and as well as acute myocardial infarction and cardiac arrhythmia. So there is a possibility that we might increase the deaths due to the other reasons. Now, this is looking at the population of age bracket with UN projections in India. The total population we expect is going to come down because the fertility rate is coming down, but it's going to take some time, up to 2,100. That's the upper line. But if you take 25 to 64 years, then that population is nearly 800 million. And if we take 65 years, then that population is increasing because of a better survival. But one thing you can note is under 25, under 15 is coming down. So this is probably because of better family planning policies in India by the government and by the ONG fraternity. So it might stabilize around about 1.4 billion. Now, if you think about the environmental challenges, 1 in 8 deaths are due to air pollution. Lead exposure gives rise to 600,000 new cases. Water is not readily available, 40% of health facilities. And in a survey in 59 low and middle income countries, more than 30% lack soap for hand washing and 20% lack toilets. And these can give rise to, and direct damage to climate can cost money as well. So we had to think about provision for contraception and population growth. It is not a plea for controlled population. They can have any number of children, but for those who want contraception, we should be able to provide. And globally, it is estimated that 225 million women in the reproductive age group who want contraception are not able to have the contraception. This leads to 80 million unwanted pregnancies and 22 million unsafe abortions. And most having got pregnant because they could not get appropriate contraception. So the world population sheet says the fertility rate is 2.4, but it is variable. As I mentioned, Nigeria is 7.2 and South Korea is 1.1. The fertility rate in India, as I mentioned, is coming down, 2.2 births per woman in 2019, which is less than what it was in 2018, because fertility rate in 2018 was 2.24, and there's a 1.37 decline from 2017. So India is probably going in the right direction. However, we have to think that it is not only the fertility rate, but the absolute number of people who want to have children. Say India, for example, has a population of 6 countries put together. If you add the population of United States, Indonesia, Brazil, Bangladesh, Japan, that comes to the population of India. So even if there's a small number in terms of absolute number, then it'll go up. If you take snapshot of China, they had a radical problem. In 1970, they recovered that the growth threatened food supply. Then they started reducing population by having a one-child family, strict birth control. They were urged to marry late, have one child, and they signed contracts to have no more than one child. Then they will give financial aid, educational opportunities, and sterilization and other birth control were widely provided. Despite all efforts, the population grew by 12 million during that time. Now they project a population of 1.6 by 2050, but recently they are trying to liberalize and want people to have more children. So it might be due to the financial affluence and industrial growth. So if India also has good financial growth, then they can revise the policies accordingly. Nigeria is one of the major difficult countries because in 1950, the country had a population size of about a few million. In 2000, the number had grown to 125 million and had a fourfold increase in 50 years. So in growth, it was unlimited, then the resources they have will be difficult to manage the current population. The United States, again, is going up. In 1900, it's 76 million, then 1998 it became 270 million, then it is going up still. And it is estimated by 2050, there will be 340 million. And some agencies think it will be going up to 500 million. It depends on migration as well, because there's a lot of migration going into the United States. Russia, there's a problem because of the economics and also the policies. The population is declining, and it seems to be apparent demoralization of the population because of the collapsing economy and nutrition, poor health, and many men die young because of drinking problems. So Russia is facing a problem because their population is shrinking. India has achieved its population of over 1 billion in 1990, but the projection seems 1.63 by 2050. At the moment, it's 1.4 billion. So UN estimate a global population varies. I think they might be on an average will be 9.3, and higher projection will lead to 10.6. Now, if you can look at this picture here, this is the picture in 2005 between India, China, USA, and Indonesia. So if I can see year by year how the population is increasing, you can see some of the countries are reversing the order. Now, if you look at India and China running with each other, the population in China has a slight increase, but India is trying to almost overtake it in some way. And you can see USA is increasing, Indonesia is increasing, and Pakistan, but not so much. And UK, which was in the list, is going out of the league because other countries are taking over. So in other words, the main population thrust will be from China and India, but there will be other major countries like USA, Indonesia, Pakistan contributing that. So if you are going to achieve SDG 1 and 2, which is reducing poverty and elimination of the poverty, then we have to, and hunger, then the important cause of famine is not only the population explosion, but it's primarily consequence of unequal distribution, which in turn is caused by socioeconomic inequality, climatic change, and also a civil war, because that causes problems, and rapid population growth contributes, but not necessarily the cause for poverty and hunger. Those SDG 1 and 2. If you take SDG 3, we have done extremely well. In 1990, we had brought 830 women die each day, and the total number died was 303,000. So SDG, when it started, they wanted to bring the maternal mortality ratio from 216 per 100,000 to less than 70 per 100,000. So the only way we can achieve this is by also giving contraception and safe abortion care. This is actually the most 20 countries which give rise to most maternal deaths and child deaths, as you can see on the diagram. These are the flags of the different countries. Now, interestingly, if you look at this list, I have listed 53 countries. Maternal mortality ratio, if you take, India has done extremely well. It is not in the first 53 countries. So number of women dying for 100,000, India has done extremely well. It is not in the top 53. So obstetricians, the government, everyone is doing well. But the problem seems to be, if you take the total number, absolute number, India is high because of the total number of fertile couple, and therefore they get pregnant, and therefore they have a maternal death. So it's the absolute numbers which is causing the issue rather than fertility rate. This is a diagram which I did some research at Imperial College, looking at countries which have done well. And there are 3 baskets of care which can help maternal mortality in SDG 3. The first basket is family planning. Family planning can reduce maternal mortality by 30%, safe abortion care by 15%. And the rest of the obstetric care we give, like hemorrhage, preeclampsia, etc., is really the balance of 55%. So if we can focus on contraception and safe abortion care, we can reduce the maternal mortality by 45%. Country to country, this will vary, but it's much easier to provide, and that is some area we had to focus on. And unmet need of family planning was one of the important issues. Instead of sterilization, we had to think about long-acting reversible contraceptives like the copper IUD, and we are very keen to really promote the acceptance of long-acting reversible contraceptives because the success rate for Mirena, Depo-Provera females and copper IUD is almost similar with typical use or perfect use. So if it is non-user dependent methods, the success rates are much higher. One of the problems is the countries don't spend as much money on family planning. As you could see, the red line is at the bottom. Total aid to health from other countries also is extremely low. If you look at different, each year by year, the health spend is going up, but the money spent for contraception or family planning is almost at the bottom. So we had to increase the spending because 289,000, this is in 2015, 280,000 die in pregnancy and childbirth, 225 million need family planning, and we had to look into that. And now, recently, last week, I had some meetings with the WHO. They want to focus on non-communicable diseases, which seems to give 25% maternal mortality, similar to that due to hemorrhage. So we are going to look at that as well. Now, these are figures from Government of India, access denied because of COVID, because the family planning was not available, and the couples unable to access contraception is 2.56 crore, and unintended pregnancy, they feel, is 23.7. Abortions will be 14 lakh, unsafe abortions 8 lakh, live births will be 6.79. So these women, if they had the contraception, it would not happen. This is all estimates, and maternal deaths will be 1,700. So if you look at contraception around the world, 36%, as you could see, has no contraception. The balance, there's 19% female sterilization. So we had to think, should we really focus on reversible contraception rather than long-acting reversibles rather than sterilization? If you take India, for example, which is in the light blue color, the female sterilization is one of the predominant way of providing contraception. It has not changed from 1954 to 1994. So that is an area which we had to think. Even present, from 1994 is still female sterilization. So FIGO was working with Foxy, looking at postpartum IUD, not only in India, but also in different countries to promote reversible contraceptives so the woman can decide how many, it's just spacing, so she can decide how many children she wants, but space it out, and when she needs contraception, she will have some. This is actually a type of contraception, as you could see in Asia. I want you to focus on not on the colored line, but the barred lines. That means nearly 35% of the population who wants contraception don't get contraception. In the Oceania region, nearly 40%, and Africa is nearly 50%. So really, it is not that we are forcing contraception, but they want to have, but they're unable to have. And if you take country-wise, you can see many countries don't have proper contraception, and both in sub-Saharan Africa, in North America, and so forth. Whereas in China, United Kingdom, some of the countries have built up their contraception with modern, more effective contraception. So that is something we have to aim for in most countries. So this is again a snapshot figure about Asia, Oceania, and Africa. We are lagging behind giving effective contraception compared to some of the countries like North America and South America. So this is a figure. North America is top 70% or so are using modern contraception, whereas Oceania and Asia is about 50 to 60%. So we can build it up with long-acting reversible contraceptives. And this is a study from India using a modeling study for family planning estimation tool. I'll show you pictorially. That is pictorially, with the dark areas are the ones which needs more focus on providing contraception. And because the SDG goals are generally not met when the contraceptive needs are not managed in those places. So they are interdependent on each other. So this is a report in 2017 looking at the SDG, looking at how they are progressing. And as you could see, this is called the Tendulkar line. Nothing to do with a cricketer, but poverty is coming down from 1993. And if you look at the employment generated, that is also going up. The number of houses constructed are going up. So there seems to be good news for India. Sanitation facilities overall is going up. And the infant and child mortality is coming down, as you can see pictorially. And the incidence of communicable diseases and non-communicable disease also is coming down. And this is about improvement in vaccination, and vaccination is also going up, both measles, DPT, BCG, and so forth. So, and gender-related indicators also improving in India. So that is quite good news. And this is about institutional deliveries under the new programs are going up, so which is also good. And that's the top left is the total fertility rate, as I mentioned, has come down, and the number of antenatal care visits have gone up. But with the COVID, we are starting a problem now, because this is a colored map in 2020. And if you look at the states with no poverty, zero hunger, etc., that state to state vary quite a lot. And COVID has set us back a little bit because of this. In a pictorial way, if you look at it, 26 states out of 28 have some problems in, and 6 out of 28 have severe problems. I'm unable to see the picture here. I'll just show you with gender equity and severe problems with health, severe problems with housing, severe problems with extreme poverty in 14 states, severe problems with hunger, 20 out of 28. So there's more work to be done. And one of the things we have to focus on is actually on contraception as well, so that we can, the government of India has done a lot by giving all these improved crop seeds, livestock, fish culture, water use, adaptive agriculture, and so on. So there's good news. People are working, the government is working, and the policy is working. But population exposure can give rise to overpopulation, unemployment, illiteracy, and so forth. So I think it is something which you have to keep an eye. In addition to having good policies, economic policies, that have some policy as well. And if there are fragile settings, then of course maternal deaths and child deaths increases, and people will get forcibly displaced, and women and children are more likely to suffer in disaster zones. And this is what we have to focus on. So world will sink if we don't achieve at a global level. The ONG specialists have a role to play, and I think Foxy and the government of India have made significant contributions, but continued vigilance is needed, and politicians of the world have a major role. And the denominator, world population, is part of the equation to achieve SDG. If you look at the world, 60 to 70% are ocean. And if the Arctic and Antarctic melt due to more human activity, the world can sink. That's the theme of the topic. And not only that, because if we invade because we want to do more farming into the land where animals are living, then the incidence of zoonotic infections will increase, like the coronavirus. So the Sustainable Development Goals in 2020 has been put back because of the coronavirus, because we are invading into the animal territory. One of the problems have been also aid for development, which has shrunken. All the good, well-to-do countries promise 0.09. Only the Nordic countries have kept up to their promise, whereas the other countries are cutting down. And last week or this week, there was debate in our parliament in UK. We're going to cut down in 0.70 in further. So aids are difficult to come by, so the countries have to fend for themselves. And in order to develop. So this is quite an interesting cutting. Firing a $70,000 missile from a 28 million drone flying at a cost of 3,624 per hour to kill people in the Middle East living on less than $1 per day. So you can see the amount of money spent on war, which can be spent on achieving SDGs like good nutrition, contraception, and improving the environment. And if you don't, then as we could see now, the sea level, the sea height can increase. That's the top corner about satellite data in 1993 to present up to 2018. And the rate has been 3.2 millimeters per year. The sea level has been rising. It has never gone down, it has gone up. And we might see scenes where small islands like the Samoa Islands and so on in the South Pacific will sink. And also you can see the Statue of Liberty, the water level going up as well as other countries. So this is going to be a problem if you want to avoid zoonotic infection, climate change, flooding, fire, and survive and don't want to sink. Then we have to pay attention not only to good policies, but also to reversible contraception and offer contraception to those women who want it, and not forceful contraception, but voluntary contraception if they like. Thank you very much for your kind listening.
Thank you very much for that in-depth analysis about the population explosion that's been going on. And these final pictures really tell the story. The Statue of Liberty is sinking. That means the whole world, our liberty, our freedom, everything will sink unless we take appropriate actions. And you also suggested the measures for that. So I'll give a standing ovation to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much, Murali. Thank you.
So
Prof.
we
Arul,
have
I
come to
think,
the...
Murali, let me just thank on my personal behalf also. And thank you, Prof. Arul, for a wonderful oration. All of us enjoyed that. And you gave a wonderful statistic too. Appreciate you coming all the way, from, of course, online, but it is a nice oration. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you. We have come to the end of the program. Before I request the HOD to give the concluding remarks. I would like to announce that two of our students have reached the highest level in Foxy. And I'm very proud to say that we are her teachers. Pratap Kumar sir, me, and Krishnan Gupta, all of us there in Manipal have been her teachers, and she has remembered that during her address in the presidential address. So she has reached the highest position, that is the president of Foxy. So Shanta Kumari, I request you please unmute yourself and request you to say a few words. Amit, can you just unmute her?
She's not there.
Shanta Kumari.
She was there just now.
She's there. Can you unmute Shanta Kumari?
Shanta Kumari was a postgraduate from Manipal, and Professor Arul Kumaran had come here to Manipal during a conference, and she she would tell that now. Shanta, yourself.
Can you unmute?
Unmute Shanta. You're not unmuted.
No, but we can't still hear. Don't keep on pressing. Press only once. Amit,
Yeah,
can you unmute her?
she can unmute herself. Yeah.
Unmute yourself, Shanta. Press only once. Yes. Now you are unmuted.
Yeah.
Please.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Good evening, sir, Pratap sir, Murli sir, Krishnendu sir, and Professor Sir Sabaratnam Arul Kumaran. Indeed, a pleasure, sir. I just finished a meeting, went out, and I was on the mobile. I came back in time to join back on the laptop. Yes, as Pratap sir and Murli sir told, it has been an really and very emotional journey. I have to put on record. It was for the first time when I was in Manipal. Professor Arul Kumaran sir was there as our faculty, and that was the first Congress which I helped Pratap sir and the team as a volunteer. And you appreciated me a lot, sir, on that Congress. And that, I think, was the way forward. And thanks to all my teachers and all of you, here I am as the 60th president of Foxy. And it's been a really emotional moment. And today's oration was fantastic, sir. It was very good. And Padma Rao madam is a teacher of teachers. She was my father's teacher. She's been my teacher as emeritus professor. So I think the emotional connect with Padma Rao madam is what makes all of us come back to here to this oration again and again. So thank you very much. I think Manipal has shown the way forward to all of us. Me and Fessy Lewis is the vice president, one of the vice presidents.
Yeah.
So two of us Manipalites are there in Foxy. And we look forward for more Manipalites to come into the mainstream.
Yeah,
Foxy.
I wanted to actually announce that the other student who has become, reached a higher post in Foxy is Fessy Lewis. He has become the vice president, and it is just a unique that both president and vice president are from Manipal. So is Dr. Fessy Lewis there? If he is there, I would request him to just come on.
Yeah, I don't think he's there.
Yeah. Otherwise, we have come to the end of this oration, and I request our HOD of the department, Dr. Shripad Hebbar, to give the closing remarks. Dr. Shripad Hebbar.
First of all, I am thankful to Dr. Professor Sabaratnam Arul Kumaran for delivering such a wonderful oration on a burning and challenging problem of exploding population. Now, this is a time for us to think whether we human beings have a right to enjoy the Mother Earth exclusively, not giving opportunity to other species, botanical and geological. Thank you very much, sir, for such a lively, thoughtful lecture and without taking a single break. When Dr. Muralidhar V. Pai was our HOD, we just did our usual work of UG and PG teaching and concentrated only on patient care. We are very well protected, and all the official work of the department was done by him. Suddenly a shock came to me, and I asked to take the departmental headship from June 2021 onwards. I had to suddenly think about all the other works Dr. Murali sir has left behind, including the preparation for this annual event of OB-GYN. He moved to a higher position of Dean at Sikkim Manipal Institute of Medical Sciences, but he told me not to worry about. He, with the family of Dr. Padma Rao, has already decided who has to be the orator and assured me not to worry about how the program will go on. And now you have all witnessed how nicely the program went on under his guidance. Not to forget about Dr. Shubhagita, who literally drafted the program event. It went on well. She worked on the minute details, and at times I wondered whether she has returned back to her period when she worked as an assistant professor at OBG KMC Manipal. Thank you very much, madam. I place on record all the good work of my previous HODs under whom I have worked. Dr. Pratap, who conducted my interview when he selected me for the post of assistant professor at Dr. TMFI Hospital, Udupi. Dr. Lavanya Rai, though she was a very strict, who never came under pressure under anybody, with whom I have authored several publications. And now Dr. Muralidhar Pai, who showed how easily the department can be managed with just speaking a few words, few good words, always encouraging the faculty for the good work, counseling in the time of distress. And I am sure he has proved it. Within 15 days of he going to Sikkim, the Sikkim has seen permission to admit so many postgraduate students. I think some 4 in the department of anesthesiology. Finally, I would like to end my closing remarks for thanking all the officials, by thanking all the officials of Mahe, who without asking for the second time gave their messages for this program. I thank all my faculty, postgraduates, and other doctors from Manipal, outside Manipal. I'll not be doing my complete job if we do not thank Dr. Girija and Dr. Lavanya Rai, who brought so many students of Dr. Padma Rao, who are spread all over this program, all over this world. and we created a group. I just created a group of Dr. Padma Rao Oration. I just added few members, but you may not believe it. It was Dr. Lavanya and Dr. Girija. They filled all the capacity of WhatsApp group. You all know that a WhatsApp group can hold maximum 256, and all the 52 to 50 WhatsApp numbers are added, and the message was spread all over the places. So thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
So thank you. I must now admit the secret behind the success of this program. Number one is Sripad Hebbar himself. He is a techno savvy. None of you know this. He is an excellent person in all the technical things. Sitting in Sikkim, I could not have done this unless he provided me all the messages, all the videos, and he knew how to send the big videos in a different way, simple way. And I must thank our Vice Chancellor, Lieutenant General Grewal, who has allowed me to use our conference facility for a high-speed, uninterrupted internet. That's why we could have this program so well. And I again thank the family members of Dr. Padma Rao, especially Dr. Girija, Dr. Shubhagita, and Dr. Gauri, who have always shown keen interest and have worked along with the department and have suggested so many times. In fact, Dr. Shubhagita, every day almost, we were in touch with her, and she used to tell me all the things, what to do, what not to do, and all that. And I thank the whole Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology, who has showered so much of love and faith in me and allowed me to conduct this program from Sikkim. And I hope I have done my job. And I'm sure from next year, Dr. Sripad Hebbar will be hosting this from Manipal. So thank you, Sripad Hebbar, one more time. And thank you all the colleagues of the department and postgraduates. And thank you, sir. Actually, I learned this art of organizing from Dr. Pratap, and he used to be so meticulous. I think, as Dr. Shanta said, we were all volunteering and we learned how he meticulously managed. And now we are following his footsteps. Thank you, sir, one more time. Thank you, Dr. Girija. Thank you, Shubhagita. And thank you, Professor Sir Sabaratnam Arulkumaran. It is a great honor to Manipal.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
It was a wonderful oration, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Dr. Girija, madam, you are looking exactly like Padma Rao, madam. Now.
Yeah, exactly.
Amit, now you can actually unmute everybody. So everybody can have a, it's just 9 o'clock, I think it's just 8:18. So we can go on till 9 o'clock. It will be almost like an alumni get together. They have roped in everybody. So Dr. Girija, Dr. Shubhagita and all have. So sir, you may want to stay back, or if you have some other engagement, you can actually leave. But I think others would like to go on for some more time.
Sure. Thank you very much, and all the best to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure meeting you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
It was a lovely oration.
Great
sir.
oration. Great oration. Nice seeing you, Shanta.
Hi,
Lovely
sir.
Murli. Well done, Shripad.
Thank
Yay!
Very nice, Murli. Thank you. Hebbar, it was super.
Great.
Very
Rija,
good.
Gauri, Shubhagita, thank you. It was wonderful. Lavanya.
Gita, it was
Well
nice.
done, Pratap. Well done, Murli. Well done, Sripad.
Well done, Girija.
Pratap, yes.
Congratulations.
MG sir, namaste.
MG is there. MG was there
Yeah.
right from the beginning, sir.
MG sir,
Well
MG
done,
sir gave
Shripad.
the oration 2 years ago.
Yeah. It's my bonded duty to remain for all the orations.
He was
Thank you,
Madam's
sir,
right
very
hand.
much, sir.
25 years
Great
was
show.
he was the founder secretary of KSOGA.
I had a
Yes.
great
Murli,
memory
I
with
think
madam.
Hebbar and
Great
Murli
show,
are-
Murli.
Girija,
Nice to see Urmila too, who gave the lecture,
Well done,
who gave the oration last year.
Lavanya.